What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and today we have got the top 15, because I'm just a baller like that. We're not doing top 10s anymore, baby. It's top 15 best rear-wheel drive sports cars that you could buy for dirt cheap. Most of these, I would say probably 10, maybe 11 or 12, around there. You could find them under 5K. Some of them are only under 10K though, but they're all cheap sports cars, pretty damn cheap. So either way, if you guys want to support the channel any more than you already are, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, because over 80% of you guys are not subscribed yet. So it would really mean a lot if you could, just slap around that subscribe button a little bit, just on the subscribe button, just a tiny bit. But without further ado, let's get right into the video with number 15. All right, so number 15 is going to the Mercedes W124. Now, W124 is just a chassis code, but honestly, any model of the W124 generation is a good option for under $5,000. The one we're going to be talking about comes with a 2-liter inline-4, making 115 horsepower, and it's obviously rear-wheel drive. They're all around that same horsepower number, by the way. They're not really like any super fast W124s out there or anything like that, so you're probably going to be looking at low 100 horsepower numbers, which is obviously not fast, but that's not where the W124 shines, my boy. It's a classic Mercedes-Benz that's luxurious and is kind of actually reliable somehow, because back in the day, Mercedes actually made reliable cars. Coming in at the number 14 spot, however, is going to the Toyota MR2 AW11. This is like the complete opposite of the spectrum of the Mercedes that we just talked about. If the Mercedes is more like tame and luxurious, and for the bougie boys that like to drive around and drink Starbucks, whereas the MR2 AW11 is for the guys that, probably didn't do too well in high school. It comes with a 1.6-liter inline-4, making 104 horsepower, and it's rear-wheel drive. It's also mid-engined, which is kind of where it gets its name. MR2 is mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, 2-seater. But either way, it's a little bit difficult to control. The only reason why is because of something called snap oversteer. Pretty much, if you get an MR2 AW11 and you're going into the corner, don't brake in the corners, and you'll be all right. Coming in at the number 13 spot is going to the wonderful Mazda RX-8. The RX-8 gets a lot of hate, but that's because it's pretty unreliable, and honestly it deserves the unreliable slander, because it's very unreliable. But everything else about the car is really cool. It comes with a 1.3-liter 2-rotor rotary engine, making 212 horsepower. That is actually pretty decent for like the bottom of this list. There are a lot of cars on this list that have less horsepower than that, but like I said, the reliability issues just massively draws it away. On top of being so unreliable, the car didn't sell that well, so there's actually not a lot of like aftermarket support for this car out there. So building it up to be something super cool is a little bit hard to do, but it's a fun rear-wheel drive, quirky looking little sports car from Japan. Coming in at the number 12 spot, however, is going to the Volvo 240. This car has an absolute cult following on my page. Every time I mention the Volvo 240, the Volvo 240 and Saab, those two cars, for some reason, I know Saab is a whole company, but those two, things, actual cult following. Either way, the 240 comes with a 2.3-liter inline-4, making 114 horsepower, and it is rear-wheel drive. The reason why this car, even though it has like almost exactly the same engine and horsepower as the Mercedes that we talked about earlier, the reason why it's so much higher is because of everything else about the 240 is just so much better. It's more reliable, more safe. It's not as luxurious, but everything else about, if you're just looking for like a winter beater, the Volvo 240, you cannot go wrong. You can drive this thing through the Himalayas and it would be fine. Coming in at the number 11 spot is going to make all the dads happy, because it's the Chevy Corvette C4. The C4 is a hated generation, but that's good news for you and me if you're looking to get into a little budget muscle car, because they're sitting under 5K all day now because no one wants them. They come with a 5.7-liter V8, making 205 horsepower in the ones under 5K. They do make higher horsepower numbers in some other later models, but those ones are probably not going to be able to be found under $5,000, so just keep that in your little brain. And it's a Chevy, so it has a motor in it that you can build to be much more fast. I don't think it's an LS. I could be wrong on that. It could be an LS, but I'm pretty sure it's like an LT1 is what they call it, or something like that. But either way, it's still a good motor that you can build. If you're just looking for a cheap muscle car with sports car heritage to it, look at the Corvette. Coming in at the number 10 spot is going to the baby. You guys knew it was going to be here. It's the Mazda Miata NA. To be honest, the NB is also another really good option under 5K right now, but they're not as overhyped as the NA are, so you can find like an NB for around the same price as an NA, but it's going to be in better condition and it's a newer model, so either one of those are good options. They both come with a 1.8-liter inline-4, making 135 horsepower, and yes, they're underpowered. Yes, they can't reach like 100 miles per hour, but they are fun. Trust me, I've driven Miatas now. they're a blast. Everything that people say about them being little go-karts is true. You can freaking rip these things around. They are so much, they are literally like go-karts. There's no better way to describe them besides a go-kart. Coming in at the number 9 spot is the wonderful BMW 325i E30. Yes, you could still find E30s for dirt cheap. It's very hard. They're kind of like diamond in the rough style cars. If you're looking for under 10K, you can find a 325i E30 all day. But under 5K, like I said, it's going to be a little bit hard to find a decent one. They come with a 2.5 liter inline 6, making 160 horsepower. And it's actually not that bad in terms of reliability. The only issue with these E30s is their age. They're old, and a lot of people haven't taken care of them because they never thought they would be valuable. So now they've been sitting there for years. Everything's been chewed through. Everything's been rusted. And that's what breaks on them. If you get a good enough example that doesn't have a bunch of horrible parts on it, they're actually a really reliable car, and they're a fun car. They look beautiful. Oh my god, they're gorgeous, and they have tons of aftermarket support. You really can't go wrong. Coming in at the number 8 spot is going to the Nissan 300ZX Z32. You can find a Z31 for under 5K still as well, but I like the Z32 a little bit better, so I put the Z32 here. They come with a 3-liter V6, making 222 horsepower, 222. Kind of weird, and they're obviously rear-wheel drive. The V6 in them is decently reliable. It's average. It's, you know, on par for a 90s JDM sports car in terms of reliability, but the issue is actually working on them. If you don't know how to work on a car yet, I would recommend staying away from a Z32. 350Zs, I mean, any Z car in general, to be honest, is really difficult to work on because they cram the motor into a very small engine bay. So if you're new to working on a car, I would recommend staying away from it, but everything else about the car is amazing. It looks beautiful, has that retro styling, fun car, reliable, rear-wheel drive. What more could you ask for? I'll tell you what more you could ask for, you son of a gun. 4 doors. Welcome to Lexus IS250 in the number 7 spot. Hello. Everybody loves the IS250 on this channel, and I don't know why. I've talked about it like maybe twice, and for some reason, everybody's always like, oh, IS250 is so good. They are good cars. They come with a 2.5 liter V6, making 204 horsepower, and they are rear-wheel drive. You actually can get an IS250 in all-wheel drive as well, so be careful of that if you're going to buy one of these cars, that you don't accidentally buy an all-wheel drive version. I don't know how you would accidentally buy an all-wheel drive car, but just be careful. They are a little bit underpowered, to be honest, and they're pretty heavy vehicles. They're definitely nothing like they're not going to have as much impact in the long run as an IS300 will, for sure. But for what they are right now, they're amazing. Under 5K, you can find these cars. They will be high mileage for under 5K, but they're a Lexus, so that's okay. And it's rear-wheel drive and a blast. Coming in at the number 5 spot is going to one of my favorite cars out there for under freaking 10K. It's the Hyundai Genesis Coupe. The Hyundai Genesis Coupe can even be found under 5K now with like a salvage title and over 200,000 miles in the 2.0 turbo BK1 generation. But it can be done, and it's honestly mind-blowing how underrated these cars are. They come with a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4, making 290 horsepower, and they are obviously rear-wheel drive. Yes, they do have 290 horsepower in the BK2 2-liter turbos, but there's so many different horsepower numbers for every single generation, so in different engines obviously too. So make sure you're doing your research on the Genesis Coupes before actually going and buying one. But once you do, you have a very good looking, in my opinion, very fast for its price, like 290 horsepower. That's pretty quick, and very, very cheap little Korean monster. The only thing is, a lot of people do say they're unreliable, so be careful of that. Coming in at the number 4 spot is the BMW 330ci E46. Honestly, any E46 is a pretty good one as long as you don't get an inline-4 one, but the 330ci is probably the best, and you can still find them under 5K, which is mind-blowing. They come with a 3-liter inline-6, making 225 horsepower, and they are rear-wheel drive. The E46 gets a lot of hate for some reason. A lot of people don't like the E46, but they like the E36 a lot better. And so right now, the E36 is actually higher in price than an E46 is, which is absolutely stupid in my opinion. Yes, they do have subframe issues, but that's about it. And then once you weld the subframe, you're fine. You're literally fine. And they're an amazing drift platform, an amazing platform to drive. They're beautiful looking cars once you do modify them a little bit. And the interior is really nice too. They're a good car. Coming in at 3rd place, however, is going to the Lexus SC300. The SC300 and the E46 are kind of interchangeable depending on like what style of car you like. The SC300 is a little bit larger, but they're both luxury cars. However, the SC300 is a lot more reliable. So the E46 is a little bit more sporty, but the SC300 is a little bit more reliable, and they literally have the exact same engine and horsepower. At least engine size and horsepower, not literally the exact same engine, but they both have a 3-liter inline-6, and they both make 225 horsepower, and they're both rear-wheel drive. So they're literally pretty much exactly the same in terms of performance. It's just depending on what you want. Like I said, if you want reliability, you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of the speed, and you can buy the SC300. But if you want speed, then you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of the reliability, and you can get the E46. Coming in at the 2nd position for today is the Infiniti G35 Coupe. I know, I own a VQ, so VQ boys are always going to put the VQs towards the top, but it really is just a bargain deal for what it is. They come with a 3.5 liter V6, making 287 horsepower, and it is rear-wheel drive. There's really nothing wrong with the VQs either. Yes, it does sound like a trumpet dying, but besides that, everything else is good about it. They're reliable. 287 horsepower for under 5K is really good in my opinion. The cars that they put them in are a little bit heavy, like a G35 Coupe and 350Z are definitely a little bit on the heavier side, but they're still fast, trust me. Like my 350Z is quick, it's fun. A G35 Coupe is going to be exactly the same as my 350Z, except now it has 4 seats. So that's why I put the G35 Coupe here. Also, the G35 Coupes are cheaper than the Zs right now, which is weird. But coming in at first place, the best rear-wheel drive sports car for less than $5,000 in today's market right now is the Ford Mustang GT SN95. It really is a kind of a big toss-up between the top like two here. The G35 Coupe and the Mustang GT SN95. It really depends on what you're looking for. The Mustang comes with a 4.6 liter V8 and it makes 240 horsepower and it is rear-wheel drive. So it actually does make a little bit less horsepower. However, the engine is capable of a lot more than a VQ is. VQs are not that notorious for being good for building power. So if you're looking for an actual just strictly race car and you're just looking for a fun car, then the Mustang is probably the better option here. But if you're looking for the overall better package, it would be a tough argument. The G35 Coupe would probably take the place. Yes, they're equally as reliable, I would say. At first the Mustang is a little bit slower, but once again it's easier to make the Mustang faster. They're both around the same price. They both have around the same reliability. It's really depending on what you like. You got to really look into that yourself. But in my opinion, I think the Ford Mustang GT SN95 is the best rear-wheel drive sports car for under 5K. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the top 15 best rear-wheel drive sports cars for less than $5,000. If you enjoyed, please leave a big fat stinky old man poop smelling congresswoman like button. Yeah, smash it up like it's a, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but you guys get the idea. Like the video, comment what you want to see next, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see any more. Really quickly, Integra build. I don't know, man. We are trying. Trust me. It's actually mind blowing. What's like everything's. We were gonna work on it this weekend. I had like a flu or something. I don't even know what it was. I was sick with something. It could have been the flu. It could have been COVID. I don't know. But I was sick, so I couldn't do it this weekend. So now next weekend, we're hoping to do it. So if you're really actually interested in that, I am sorry. I wanted to build it just as much as you guys wanted to see it. Actually, probably more. I have all the, like most of the parts laying downstairs. The only thing I need left to buy to pretty much finish up the build is a wrap so I can paint the car red. I want to make it red, and wheels. And that's it. And everything else would be, I have everything else. The whole body kit that I want on it, all the parts to actually like fix the issues, even though there's not really any issues. All the like, I have coilovers for it. I got all this stuff and I just haven't done anything to it yet. So it is going to be done pretty soon. We're going to start building it pretty soon. We're just trying to find the right time, and it's getting difficult. It's getting difficult. That's all. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das Vidania. Have a nice night.